Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Championship Leadership Podcast, and I'm excited today. I just flew into Vegas, and I know our guest is from Vegas here. The real Brad Lea. He's the founder, chairman, CEO of LightSpeed VT. You can find him at the real Brad Lea on IG. You can check him out at his website, bradlea.com, also lightspeedvt.com. LightSpeed VT, an online interactive video-based training and communication platform. Also has a podcast called Shopping Moms, which I enjoy checking out and watching as well. So appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for taking some time.
Man, my pleasure. I appreciate you having me. What's happening?
I always like to kick off the conversation just with this question. The name of the podcast, like I said, is Championship Leadership. You know, what comes to mind for you? What do you think of when you hear championship leadership?
Man, what comes to mind when I hear championship leadership, is coaches and whistles and baseball caps and teams and calisthenics and order and structure and discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe tell us a little bit about you and just like the path that you've been on. Give you a short intro, and I'm sure it was brief, and you have a lot of things going on inside of your world. But how did you get to where you are today? Maybe just tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and how what was the path that you took to get where you are today?
Well, technically, it's a great question only because I was asking myself the other day, like, who am I? What the hell do I want? What have I achieved? Where am I going? What's going on here? Like, how do we boil it down to where it's basically real success, like real happiness? You get, what are the rules to living an extraordinary and abundant life? Well, after 51 years, I think I've learned the hard way, most of them. And, I built an 8-figure business from scratch. I'm partnered up in some form or fashion with a lot of the big names and brands and companies because they use my interactive training technology to do things and, mainly train and develop people, which is my passion. I got all the scars and wounds to prove it, but ultimately it boils down to a 8-figure business, hopefully soon to be 10, and a number one or a top rated podcast, a book coming out called The Hard Way, closer school. I'm just out there doing my thing. But when people run into me like who is this cat? Well, I dropped out of school at 16. Okay. Like a fool, thought I was going to be a movie star, ran off to Hollywood, slept on the beach, homeless, this, that, and the other thing. And then ended up a multi-millionaire. Well, how? Well, it boils down to one thing. Okay. How is really the toughest thing for people to understand is the easiest thing to do. And, now I just walk around and try to make it happen. The only reason I'm a leader, that's what I was telling you earlier, like when someone asks me about leadership, I always think about that word because you asked what championship leadership meant to me. And what did I think of when I heard the word championship? When I think of championship, I think of teams. I think of competition. I think of sports. Championship leadership means that, coaches and teams and whistles and discipline. But when I think of the word just alone, leadership, what does that mean to me? Well, leadership to me is, you could substitute it for example, encouragement, educator. You know what I'm saying? Like leadership could be all of those things, but also leadership could be, to me, it means example. Like your leadership couldn't have been worse on with your advice on my marriage. Like, in other words, the leadership you gave me on sales, my friend, was amazing, but your leadership on investment was terrible. So that's both leadership, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So leadership to me is like an example. Like, leadership to me means, it's a very enigmatic word. What does it mean? There's companies out there teaching leadership. We have a lot of leadership experts using our LightSpeed system to train and develop leaders all over the country for many companies, big and small. And, every time I hear, oh, we teach leadership, I always think, what does that mean? You tell me, Nate, what does leadership mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, what I hear you saying is we are always leading, and it doesn't necessarily mean that, you could leading, like I could be leading my kids by example, how not to live life, right? And I also could choose the opposite and lead them how to live a great and powerful, successful life. And I've never really, that conversation, that hasn't really come up in any of the episodes. We've done a little over 100 now. And yeah, I guess I think the tendency is to talk about leadership and the great leaders, the championship leaders across the industries that have had a lot of success, that have been, that have had some influence over people. When I think of leaders, I automatically go to people that I respect, that make me want to do more, maybe raise above my ability level, because I don't want to let them down. But yeah, absolutely. I think we also could be leading with the opposite effect that many of us often think of. So I like that concept. I think that's an important piece to remember. Maybe you could talk a little bit about, as I was reading a story online, you talk about kind of where it all started for you with LightSpeed VT and training a team, sales as a sales trainer. And you trained an employee that reminded you of your father and took him from $5 an hour to $15K a month. And it sounded like in that article, that was kind of your first taste of seeing maybe the abilities that you had to go and train somebody, impact somebody that could then, their performance then, from $5 to $15K a month is pretty incredible jump. Where did that come from? Like, was that natural for you? Like, how did you get, that would, in my mind, is definitely the example of a championship leader. Because he obviously wasn't up until that point, until you came into his life to help him see some of the abilities that he probably had within him. You definitely pulled something more out of him than he was getting himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes. So for example, if you're in a dark room with obstacles and walls and doorways and and it's completely dark, you're going to stumble around and hopefully find your way out, but maybe not. Well, what if I walked in and just simply turned on the light? So, to me, I just turned on the light. So I just showed him what to do. He could have always accomplished it. He just didn't know what to do. In some cases, that's the only problem, which is the equivalent of turning on the light. So I taught him sales, but yeah, that was the first time I really started to focus on helping other people. So the real pivot point in my life was going from self-concerned and inner greed and pointed it outwards. So the first pivot was helping somebody, help others. Like I was always focused on myself. So that was the first time I really said, wow, that's cool what I watched happen. And yeah, I did say, wow, if I can do that for people, man, that's rewarding. So let me go help other people go from $5 to 15 grand. And ultimately started a training business. And then that training business led to the online application of my technology for myself. And then it worked so well that I started showing other trainers. And then it worked so well for them, they started selling it to other businesses. Then the businesses started coming around because they had more to train than just what they were training on. And now everybody's on LightSpeed, or soon will be. So at the end of the day, now I opened up this thing called the Skill Shop, which is all the top trainer, all the top information right in the library inside the one that you use for business and team development. So it's all kind of just blowing up like it was all planned, but it wasn't, man. This is over 20 years. This is listening to data, making adjustments, figuring it out along the way. I didn't have any leadership, unfortunately, because I was the pioneer. So now, 20 years later, when there's 100 of them out there, I don't know if I'm serving as a leader or they are. Why? Well, because you can always learn something new from other people, right? So it's like, just because you're the pioneer, I always tell people, just because they can't do what you do doesn't mean they can't outdo what you do.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you can't learn anything from them as well, right?
I learned from everybody, man. Little 23-year-old entrepreneurs, they're all in awe because it's me. I got a little bit of a brand, a little bit of a following starting. So they're like all in awe because it's me. And I'm like, bro, I'm in awe because it's you. Like, holy moly, bro. You're starting this business. You're out on your own. You're going against the odds. You're making it work. You're free as a bird. You don't have any rules. You don't have any, restrictions. You don't have any limitations. Age is on your side. You got fresh skin. Woo!
Amen. That's right. Yeah. What's well, who are some championship leaders that coaches, mentors? Who are some people that have impacted your life? Less really about who they are, like their names, but all means share those if you would like. But really more about like what would be some of the characteristics, the traits that you've taken from some of these people that have helped you on your path to where you are today.
Well, I mean, it's crazy is because, a lot of people have made impact along my life, whether it be financially or otherwise. Like, for example, my first customer, made an impact because, that was the first one that said yes. Then some of the bigger, well-known ones that they've impacted my life. Why? Because we make great money together, and that money allows me to grow and experience and live, and you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the impact has come from, my business, Grant Cardone, Joe Verdi, Damon John, Tony Robbins. Like, he's obviously been an impact in a lot of people's lives, not just mine. But ultimately, man, listen, at the end of the day, I think everybody needs to understand one thing. Okay. Whenever you meet somebody, they know something you don't. And that right there, if you take a moment to consider that they know something you don't, well, then maybe you look at them in a little bit different light. Because a lot of times people, assume just because you don't have the money someone else has that you don't know as much as they know. And that's just not true. Like I taught Grant Cardone a lot. Okay. But Grant Cardone has way more money than I have, but he's also 10 years older, bitch. Okay. Give me 10 more years and then measure. You can't measure today. Yeah. It's impossible for you to measure me against Grant. Why? Well, because he's 10 years ahead. Okay. Give me 10 years and then measure me. Now, if 10 years I'm broke, well, then guess what? He kicked my ass. But at the end of the day, people are in awe of these people because they have more money. That doesn't mean they know everything. Okay, that means that they've been successful in some things that they've done. Well, what else can you provide value to those people for? What else don't they know? And a lot of times the answer is marketing. A lot of those guys don't know marketing worth a shit. Then some of them know marketing extraordinarily well. Guess which ones you hear about? Huh?
Yeah, the ones that do well.
That's right. Now that's leadership in some sense, right? But the impact Grant had on me and a lot of other people is, hey, let me kick in the door and show you how to 10X everything. Okay, well that's a perspective that works. Tony Robbins, again, I mean, he in person, he's just like he is, on stage. Like that dude is, I think, the king of it all. Mm-hmm. I mean, he studied everybody and he regurgitates crap that he's learned his whole life from people like Jim Rohn and great subject matter experts and leaders and thought leaders of their time. And Tony's just an unbelievable, vehicle to deliver it. Cause he's, I don't know why. It's just, Tony Robbins, someone's going to have to do a lot to fill his shoes. But as far as impact goes, I've been impacted by my children. So again, yeah, man, impact is everywhere. You got to realize everybody knows something you don't.
Is it difficult? I think it is for some people, and I could probably even catch myself. Not that on the scale of success. I mean, I still got a ways to go to where I would like to be. But is it difficult to keep that perspective as you climb that ladder, as you say, as you start to work with Tonys and Grants? That everyone you run into, you can learn something from them, because I think there's a tendency for some, or maybe many, to lose that, to think that they can't, that they have it all figured out.
What's your question?
I mean, so yeah, is it difficult for you to keep that present for you to know that no matter who you are surrounded by or whoever you interact with, you can always learn something from them? Is it difficult for you to keep that perspective?
No, I'm like the one preaching it. You know, you can only forget things that you don't believe.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd never forget that. Like I do it all the time. I talk to waitresses, waiters. I talk to freaking shoe shiners. I talk to freaking construction workers. Half my family's construction workers, blue collar, forest service, hard working, freaking road construction. I mean, just, I'm not your normal Harvard graduate CEO. So I have friends in low places.
Yeah, no,
but I also have friends in high places. And again, I think it's because I never forget that people, no matter who they are, or what they have, always know something you don't. And I like knowledge. So again, I'm friendly to everybody. I always tell people, and I forget where I heard it, but you meet the same people on the way down as you do on the way up. So you better respect people. Because if you don't, dude, one day that person could just be stomping on your throat when they could have just helped you. So again, at the end of the day, man, be a good person. Okay. There's nothing like when I talk about the rules of having an extraordinary and abundant life, the rules, what are the rules? One of the rules is to be nice. Like, you can't be an asshole. Okay, everybody thinks you have to be a jerk, you have to be ruthless, you have to be stern, you have to be disciplined, you have to be, no, you don't. Okay, be kind. How about that? Be kind. That's one of the rules of life.
It's a great rule to live by, and I don't think you can lose with that rule. That's for sure. What's a vision for you? I know you have a big vision. You said eight soon to be 10 figure company.
Yeah, I want $1 billion.
You also said in the beginning that what's that? You also said in the beginning that, you've reached this level of success that you're at, whatever that is for you. And you have no idea, in a way how you got here. Like, you didn't, not necessarily sure how that was going to play out for you. But it has the way it has. What's the vision, or maybe more so like the impact that you really want to make? We talked about Grant Cardone 10 years from now, maybe for you 10 years from now.
I don't think anybody will be. 10 years from now, no one's going to be talking about Grant Cardone, because Grant Cardone is going to be, a multi-billionaire on an island somewhere relaxing for the remainder of his life, I think. In 10 years from now, they're going to be talking about somebody that nobody's talking about today. Okay. Only Grant and myself and everybody else could pray that we're being talked about in 10 years. But I don't believe we will be, any of us. Why? Well, because in 10 years, man, the technology is going to be so different. There's going to be just completely mind-blowing things going on in this world in 10 short years. Yeah. And if you're not willing to adapt, I think you're going to be in trouble. I always tell people there's going to be two kinds of companies left in 10 years. Ones that use technology and ones that make it.
Yeah.
So if you don't make it, you better use it. And if you don't use it, if you don't use it and you don't make it, you're done, son.
Yeah. So true. And I don't know. It's a little bit scary to think about, but exciting also, right? Depending on which way it goes.
Yeah. Why is it so scary, Nate?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you, Joe Rogan talks about this a lot, right? About like basically robots taking over the world, right? That conversation where it could be, depending on how the technology is used, I guess is the thought or the idea.
Yeah.
So you never know. What's a critical moment that you could go back to that had you made a different decision, you could be in a completely different place in your life? Like, I think there's a lot of the listeners, entrepreneurs, that kind of maybe in that fork in the road. They kind of know they want to go right, but everybody's pulling them to the left. And it's like that decision is going to definitely determine where they are in the future. Is there a moment for you that you can look back on and be like, man, had I not made the decision I did, I could definitely be somewhere very different?
Well, yeah, like literally almost every single day. Like, I think every single day, if you didn't say what you said and did what you did, your life would be massively different. It all boils down to the choices we make, right? So every single day we're making choices, and every single day shapes our life in a big way too. Like, you know, hey, I'm just going to have one drink on the way home. One drink led to two, maybe three. You're not drunk. Figured you'd drive home. Somebody ran a red light, smashed into you. You're not drunk. They smashed into you. Cop shows up. Boom, there's an injury. Now you get breathalyzed. It wasn't your fault, but you were drunk, technically. Boom, now you go to jail for manslaughter. Why, man? Why me? Well, why you is because you decided to stop for a drink. It was one choice that you made that now shaped your life forever. And by the way, it was a very small choice. Should I stop and have a drink or no? Now, that's a very insignificant choice, right? Should you stop and have a drink or not? Right. Okay, well, guess what? The choice would have been, in this case, no. If you just would have chose no. Now, some people would say that's fate and all this. Look, folks, if you master the small choices, the rest work out. Okay, now listen. Is it smart to drink alcohol, poison? Yes or no, Nate?
No.
Okay, so the choice is obvious. Should I stop by and drink poison on the way home? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so the choice is easy. Let's not, oh, that's fate, and, well, you know, you right place, right time. Shut up. Look, you shouldn't have stopped to have a damn drink. Now people are going to go, what? So now I can't have a drink if I want to succeed? I didn't say that. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. You can stop and have drinks and succeed. Why? I've done it. And by the way, I've been successful in 3 DUIs over my life. Never a fourth, though.
Yeah.
They told me on my third, you do it again, you're going to prison for a year. This was back before DUIs were a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I got three of them. I got 3 of them, like an idiot, like a dumbass. And one of them I wasn't even drunk, but I did technically blow legal limit or over the legal limit. One of them, I'm so glad they pulled me over. I was driving home with one eye down the strip.
Yeah.
And there were people all around. This was before the barriers and before the this was like, dude, I was hamburglared seeing 3 of everything, driving down the strip with one eye. That's one of them. But anyway, so I learned my lesson after the 3rd smack in the face, but I was only woken by the sound of jail cell and future prison incarceration. I said, no more. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people can't do that. You know why? Because they have a little sickness. It's called alcoholism. Now they need that alcohol, or at least they think they do. Now, again, I don't care what anyone says. There is chemical dependencies on drugs and alcohol. However, and when I say man, I mean humankind, not men, human, women included, has the power in their mind to do whatever they want. The mind is way stronger than any chemical dependency, any physical addiction, period. And if someone says, no, it isn't, they're full of shit, period. They're full of shit. A human being, a human can freaking do some miraculous things, and kicking drugs. Yeah, it's hard, boo-hoo. And it is, but it's not impossible. And you can do it with your mind. It takes growth. It takes knowing the rules of an extraordinary and abundant life. What are the rules? Well, I guarantee it boils down to one thing. The choices you make determine the road you'll take. I promise you that. And the choices that you're making on a daily basis will come into play. And when you take every problem or complaint of your life and you trace it back to its origin, it's going to be a choice that you made that was insignificant almost every time. And you start to think to yourself, wow, so all the trouble and challenges and problems in my life basically trace back to an origin of a choice that I made, and I'm the one that gets to determine my choices. And then it's like, wow, that's when you get enlightened, like, holy moly. I can choose anything throughout the day. I didn't even realize the impact of insignificant choices like a Big Mac versus a chicken breast.
Yep.
And by the way, can you eat a Big Mac and be successful? Absolutely. I've done her. So
Yep.
again, I mean, I'm not saying you have to be perfect and an angel, but that's what it boils down to. And so now, just now that you realize the source of it, well, start paying attention to what the hell's going on. Like, pay attention, dude. Wake up. Quit sleepwalking. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, take the jersey off and sit down. Get out of the game. Or take another bong hit and go back to the Xbox, bro. Okay, leave the field. Leave the field to the real men.
Yeah.
And when I say men on that, I say women.
Yeah, of course.
I hate when I say, you know, like man up, which means like, you know, get tough. And then, you know, the girls always, you know, but it's like, dude, I'm just, listen, I wasn't necessarily raised as good as I could have been. I was kind of left to my own devices. You know, I learned the hard way in a lot of cases. So when I say, you know, man up or, you know, any man, I mean human, I mean person.
Right.
Okay. Any person can change their entire life by focusing on and becoming a great choice maker. Like, just make some damn good decisions from now on, folks, and your life will improve in all areas. What areas do you want them to improve in? Well, that's up to you, bro. You know, what area do you think you need improvement on? You think you need any money? Okay. You think you need any relationships? Because again, life boils down to what? Money, relationships, right? The relationship you have with yourself.
Yep.
And the relationship you have with others. Okay. There's family. Okay. So there's relationships is life, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And then under money, you've got your business or your job. Okay. Money, right? You got your investments, right? Now, does the circle you hang with, which is the relationships, right? Who's in your circle? Does that affect your money? Yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So see how everything affects everything?
Yeah.
Well, what are the rules, brother? What are the rules? Like, just show me the rules and I'll play the game. And I've always been good at like figuring out how to play the game once I knew the rules. And now after 50 years, I think I've figured out the rules. I think I've figured out the rules, and now it's just smooth sailing. I'm going from 8 figures to 10 figures with a smile on my face. Am I working hard? No, I don't believe in hard work. Hard work is for fools.
I love it. Yeah.
So is dying. So is dying. Dying's for fools.
Yeah.
I got tiger's blood.
Choices, all comes to choices, right? And you know, they're all consequential choices, is what you're saying.
You ain't lying.
They all matter.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. What we'll wrap it up here. I want to respect your time. What is one thing or two things that you could leave with the listeners as we do wrap up that, like, you know, they put into play today, they can move their life forward today?
Well, I believe the attitude of gratitude is what most will call it. Ultimately, it's gratitude. I think perspective and gratitude are the two biggest things that people can change immediately and start getting immediate return. Okay. You can change those things very easily and get immediate return. Perspective really is how one sees something, right?
Yep.
There was 2 little boys you put in 2 different rooms filled with shit. And you walk in and the one boy's pissed off because you put him in a room full of shit and the other one's sitting there playing in it. And you're like, wonder what's the difference? Well, that's perspective. They have a different perspective. So you ask the one little boy, what are you pissed about? You know, well, you put me in a room full of horse shit. What wouldn't you be pissed?
Yeah.
And then you ask the other kid that was playing in it, you know, what's your perspective? And he says, well, with all this shit, there has to be a pony in here somewhere. Now, whether there was a pony or not is irrelevant. The
Right.
perspective was why one was happy and one wasn't. So perspective is very important. People don't understand the simplicity of perspective. And then on the other hand, you've got your gratitude. So if I just gave you 20 million cash, all yours, 20 million, you can have it. I'll pay the taxes. Literally, bro, you can just have it. Would you be in a good mood for the rest of the day?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about the week?
Yes.
How about the year?
For a really long time.
I mean, other than major tragedies, could anyone piss on your parade? Would you let anybody like get up in your business and make you mad about something for a while? At least a while, right?
I don't think it would be possible. Like you said, it would have to be yeah.
Okay, so if $20 million will do that for you, I ask you a simple question. Would you trade $20 million to wake up tomorrow? In other words, I'll give you $20 million today, but you won't wake up in the morning.
No.
Not even close, right? Nobody in their right mind would do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, then how come when we wake up every morning, we're not as happy and grateful as we are if someone handed us 20 million measly dollars?
Yeah.
So why aren't we waking up with that kind of gratitude every morning? So when I wake up every morning, I understand the power of perspective. So what do I do every morning to force my perspective to get in its place? Number one, I open my eyes and first of all, thank God that I get another day. Like, wow, brother, thank you. So I'm grateful immediately upon waking up, which then shifts my perspective. So when I don't feel I have to take my kids to school, I feel like, wow, I get to, and all that crap you've heard. Well, that's because I get to actually is a perspective change. So when you hear these gurus out there saying, don't say you got to, say you get to. Okay, that's 100% true. However, saying you get to isn't necessarily going to do anything. Okay, actually having that perspective is what you're going to need to get the result and the magic to happen. And the perspective comes from truly being grateful that you woke up in the morning. Like, what are you so happy about? I woke up.
Yeah.
I woke up. Dude, that's winning the lottery every day. We win the lottery every day by being grateful. Okay? If we're not grateful, well, then you're already screwed. Like, you're already screwed. Your perspective isn't as good as mine, that's for sure. And it isn't as good as it could be, that's for sure. Doesn't mean you can't succeed waking up being a pissed off Scrooge. But I don't necessarily find those people are the most happy. Why? Yeah. Well, because they're miserable, dude. They're rich, they're busy, they're miserable, nobody freaking likes them. They're hermits, or, they're perfectly capable and functioning individuals, but deep down, they don't feel good about themselves. They don't feel good about their lives. They feel and sense some sort of void that something's missing. And the reason why I think that something's missing, like it's not real. It's not real. It's not real success at all. It's just success, but it's not real success. And only an individual can tell you what that looks like for them. Why? Again, I mean, dude, I want $1 billion. If I die with $900 million, is that successful? Well, it will be to a lot of people. It's not to me. Why? Well, because my goal is $1 billion. I want $1 billion. Well, why? Who cares why? Well, you have to have a why, they say. No, you don't have to have a why. The why could be, I want $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like, the why is I want a big fancy house, and I want kick-ass cars, and I want no worry over finances for the rest of my life for anyone I bless, anyone I grant a freaking free life to. Like, I just want $1 billion. That's why. Well, no, you have to have a why. Do you? Do you really have to have a why? No, you don't have to have a why, dude, because everyone already does. The question is do you know your why? And is it powerful enough to get your fat ass out of bed and through the pain that it takes to make $1 billion? That's why they say you need a why. See, so I can break down all these other people's messages very succinctly and easily because a lot of it's true. Success leaves clues. Who said that? Who coined that phrase? I don't know, but I've heard it and I believe it. Success does leave clues. If you emulate what people did to get what they got, 9 times out of 10, you get what they got. Why? Because like action causes like result. If I eat a certain thing and go to the gym and get a physique, and you say, I want that person's physique. Well, eat what I eat and do what I do, and I'll bet you'll have like results. Now, is that rocket science, bro?
Not at all.
Then why is it so difficult for everybody to not understand? If you want to succeed, find someone who is succeeding, okay? And then do what they do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Podcast over lesson learned. Kids, follow me at the real Brad Lea. No,
yeah. Amen. Yes, sir. And definitely check him out. Get his new book. And
yeah, you can pre-order my book, The Hard Way, which is basically lessons I learned the hard way so you don't have to. And with these lessons, you're going to accelerate and elevate your game, and you're going to ultimately really figure out the rules of an extraordinary and abundant life.
Yeah, which is just exactly what we've been talking about. So I appreciate you being here today and taking some time to give us some knowledge and drop some bombs. So
my pleasure, man. My pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good day.
Peace.